Well, welcome to the House Insurance Committee. All right, sorry for the late start there. We had some sidebar conversation on important committee business that I'm sure you're all going to love once this comes out. But first and foremost, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for both January 21st and 26th. Yes, ranking neighbor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our esteemed committee secretary has done just an outstanding job on the minutes from Wednesday, January 21st and Monday, January 26th. So I would move approval of these great minutes.
All right, is there a second? Representative Haskins seconds and says that Eileen also helped. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Very good. The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. All right, this is the last day for it, ladies and gentlemen. So, are there any bill introductions? Representative Carpenter, welcome to committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to introduce, on behalf of a constituent, RS 2830, which is the Patients' Right to Save Act.
All right, if there are no objections, seeing no objections, it will be entered. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, are there any other bill introductions? Since this is the last day, I'll also, please remind me, I'll end up saying the same thing at the end of the meeting because Representative Meyer isn't here with us, just in case. I'd also like to introduce an RS 2685 regarding hospital billing and disproportionate share hospitals to screen patients for eligibility for financial assistance programs or charity care. Is there objection to entering this one? Seeing no objections, it is entered. Although I don't think it'll come to this committee. I think that one's going to be in health, but it could go either way on that. All right, today, committee. I'm sorry? Oh, that's right. Do I have that one here? There is another one. You have the RS number? Okay, very good. Yes, please do. Okay, I'd also like to enter 26 RS, what was the number again? We can party like it. 3082, Patient Affordability? Insurance Affordability Act. Okay, very good. Is there objection? Seeing none, it is also entered. Okay, now that the fun part's over, let's go on to a hearing on HB 2551, and to get us up to speed on 2551, take it away, Eileen. It is about you. I'm just here for my looks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, committee. House Bill 2551 enacts the Kansas Pharmacy Services Administrative Organization Act. I'm going to refer to Pharmacy Services Administrative Organizations from here on out as PSAOs. I'm sure you understand why. This act authorizes and provides a regulatory framework for PSAOs. It provides for the disclosure of ownership interests and requires certain contractual provisions between PSAOs and the entities with which they contract. Section 1 of the bill provides the short title of the act and also provides the definitions section of the bill. Section 2 of the bill requires that all PSAOs doing business in Kansas be licensed and authorizes the Commissioner of Insurance to develop the application, the fee structure, and renewal process for such licensure. Section 3 of the bill requires that a PSAO make certain disclosures regarding ownership interest prior to receiving licensure, and it also requires that a PSAO provide a written statement of ownership or control prior to entering into any contract with an independent pharmacy, PBM, or third-party payer. Section 4 requires a PSAO to provide independent pharmacies with copies of contracts and contract amendments within 10 calendar days of execution or amendment. And this section also prohibits a PSAO from requiring a pharmacy to purchase specific amounts of prescription drugs in order to access and receive certain discounts. Section 5 of the bill prohibits a PSAO from discriminating on the price of drugs sold to independent pharmacies based on the price that the PSAO receives purchased from a wholesale distributor of the drug. Section 6 of the bill prohibits a PSAO that is owned wholly or in part by any entity that manufactures, sells, or distributes prescription drugs, biological products, or medical devices from requiring that an independent pharmacy purchase any drugs or medical devices solely from an entity with which the PSAO has an ownership interest or that has an ownership interest in the PSAO. Additionally, this section also requires that the PSAO disclose to the insurance department, it's Department of Insurance, DOI, any agreement between the PSAO and an independent pharmacy to purchase drugs, biological products, or medical devices from the PSAO or an entity with which the PSAO has an ownership interest or that has an ownership interest in the PSAO. Section 7 of the bill relates to communication between parties in the event of a dispute between the independent pharmacy and a PBM or third-party payer. The PSAO would then be responsible for ensuring and facilitating timely communication between the parties. The section also provides that if a PBM or third-party payer provides notice or other information to a PSAO, then that notice would be deemed to be notice to the pharmacy itself. A PSAO would be responsible for forwarding all notices of appeals from an independent pharmacy with which it has a contractual relationship to the relevant PBM or third-party payer. Section 8 of the bill provides for enforcement of the act, and Section 9 of the bill provides the commissioner with the authority to adopt rules and regulations to implement and administer the act. And if approved, the bill would take effect upon publication in the statute book. And with that, Mr. Chair, I can stand for questions.
All right, that seemed pretty simple. Committee, are there any questions for the reviser? Yes, Representative Haskins.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Eileen. I'm just curious, is there another form of this bill on the Senate side that you're aware of, or is this the first and only version? And if
This is the first and only version and was requested that I draft by our esteemed chair of this committee.
okay, thank you so much.
Right, just for the committee's edification, we're trying to get away from the mirrored bills running on each side. I know it'll mean less shells and less entertainment at the end of the year, but we're trying to get away from that practice, which should be used only in extreme situations.
It makes for a happier revised,
And it makes Eileen happier, and that is really what we're about here.
because it's all about me.
Right, further questions, committee? I think you've explained it perfectly, Eileen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
All right. Now, as is the case with many transparency bills, testimony is somewhat limited here. So, proponents, I have none listed. Would anyone care to speak as a proponent of 2551? All right, seeing none, I will close proponent testimony. Neutral testimony. Is anyone strongly neutral on 2551 who would like to testify to that fact? All right, seeing no one neutral, I'll close neutral testimony and open up opponent testimony. I have two that are written only. Is there anyone in person that would like to speak in opposition to 2551? Now, this is a rather short hearing, by golly. Fire away. Is that for Eileen or fire? Yes, ask a question, Representative Meyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Whoever it goes to. I noticed while going through this, we didn't have any testimony from the Department of Insurance, and I was wondering, since nobody's here to testify, either for, against, or neutral, if we could entertain maybe asking them what their thoughts were. Is that okay, or?
Eric, Eric doesn't really have anything to add here. But if you'd like to,
I'm sorry, I just
that's,
usually do.
sure, absolutely. Yeah, we've missed you, Eric. Welcome to committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Eric Turek with the Kansas Department of Insurance. The department does not have a position on this legislation. I will say that I think, looking at the bill, I think that the definition of PSAO as it's written in the bill may coincide with the definition for pharmacy benefit managers as is defined in the Pharmacy Benefit Manager Licensure Act. I thought Representative Haskins had asked about another piece of legislation. There is one piece of legislation in the Senate relative to PBM reform. I know that this is not a PBM exclusive bill, although one comment I might also make, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I know that I think that the department, through that interim committee on pharmaceutical studies, the department's made clear that relative to PBMs, the department does not possess the necessary tools to adequately regulate PBMs in Kansas. I think that this bill might do something relatively similar to that, in that it would also not equip the department with the necessary tools to accomplish what the bill, what the desire of the bill might be.
And committee, I might direct your attention to the fiscal note on the bill. It does include the hiring of one staff for the Department of Insurance. I said it correctly this time, Department of Insurance, to handle the 8 PSAOs that they've identified operating in Kansas. You are quite welcome. Now, committee, and with that, I'll close opponent testimony. Feel free to read the opponent written-only testimony that's provided. It's not a surprise to me that with a transparency bill, you don't have proponents and opponents. It gets to be kind of a gotcha game with the proponents, so they would generally care not to get involved, and I understand that. It's a bad look. I get it. But the people that benefit from transparency are going to be us. And so that's the reason for the bill. Though, as Eric mentioned, we had the interim committee on PBM and 340B, and those got somewhat conflated, as well as PSAOs got somewhat all rolled into the same thing. One thing that was determined in that hearing was that we didn't exactly know what was going on. And that's why you're going to see from this committee a number of transparency bills aimed at various sections of that, 340B to PSAO, and coming over from the Senate, as the representative mentioned, there's a lot of transparency in the Senate bill on PBM reform. So I look forward to seeing the results of those so that I think we can all understand that the process is not working as smoothly as it should, be it in Kansas or nationwide. So I think that taking the time to understand all of the moving parts, how much money we're talking about, where it's coming from, who's touching it along the way, and where it ends up going, is something that's going to benefit us as lawmakers, and hopefully, if we do it right, the people of Kansas. So that's why you're very rarely going to see opponent or proponent testimony on transparency bills, but they're important to us. Yes, Representative Haskins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And since you were explaining that, I was wondering if you could give a justification or maybe a further explanation on, since you requested the bill, where's that motivation coming from? Did you see something that is needed to be corrected? What was it, just like slept on the wrong side and just like I'm mad as heck? And no,
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
Not at all. I think more than anything else, it was a sense of confusion. I want to find out. I'd love to solve the problem, but, you know, the other day, the check engine light on my car came on, and I could open the hood and start tinkering, but that has usually ended up to be very expensive in the past, all right? Instead, I'd like to run a diagnostic and see what the problem might be prior to me getting in there with a screwdriver. And that's kind of the same mentality that I have going on with this. Let's try to figure out what the problem is in more detail before we try to fix it. Because when we're talking about the amount of money that's involved in healthcare in the state and the nation, anywhere, the state budget pales by comparison. And I really wouldn't want an expensive fix going on in that industry without knowing a little bit about what's going on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, yes, Eileen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to jump in because Eric made a comment that he thought that the PSAO definition was the same definition as the PBM and the PBM Licensure Act, and it's really not. So I wanted to kind of jump in and say that a PSAO and a PBM kind of don't really do totally the same thing at all. A PBM handles the drug portion primarily and works with an employer or an insurer or both to manage their formularies, their drug costs, et cetera, et cetera. The PSAOs contract with independent pharmacies to kind of do their administrative functions, the back office stuff, and they kind of leverage the number of independent pharmacies that they can contract with to get buying power and such, and provide, you know, a greater presence when dealing with that administrative stuff. So they're not really, they don't work with the same parties, and they don't do necessarily the same things. And I just wanted to make that clear with regard to the bill.
Mr. Chair, if I may, that is probably the most fantastic explanation I have heard, and I never believe, you know, Eric, I thought you were right the whole time. But
Yeah, let the minutes reflect.
there you go. I'm working my way back in her good favors.
All right, with that, is there any other questions that have arisen from the vast testimony that we've received so far on this bill? I would recommend you doing some reading on this. I think you'll find it interesting perhaps, or at least a good cure for insomnia. Oh, as we get a yawn over here, very nice, as if on cue. All right, with that, I'll close testimony on HB 2551. As I promised earlier, we will come back to, are there any bill introductions? She didn't even have to remind me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, for being patient as I introduced a different bill in a different committee today. Let me pull it up here real quick again. My apologies. Okay. I would like to request introduction of 26 RS 3328. It's an act concerning health and health care relating to prescription drugs, providing coverage for insulin drugs and diabetes management devices, providing price limitations and requirements, therefore under health insurance plans, and establishing the insulin affordability program for the uninsured.
All right, what was that RS number again?
My apologies, 26 RS 3328.
3328.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, is there objection to entering 3328 as the last bill heard or referred by this committee, the 2026
Last
anyway.
and best.
Yeah, he should be, here we go. All right, without objection, it is entered. All right, committee. We had a scheduled hearing for Wednesday. There are proponents and opponents on that one, surprisingly enough. However, their travel made it difficult, so we're not going to be having that hearing on Monday, or on Wednesday, rather. I'll schedule that meeting as call of the chair. And until next week, for certain, and maybe keep an eye on your emails. We may work a bill here if we get some some motion. But until Monday for sure, and perhaps Wednesday, we are adjourned.